not done. All right. Then they ask about distinguish between work to rule and go slow. So work to rule is when you're doing exactly what your job description says, no more, no less. It's a form of protest, right? So that's like me, a teacher, goes to school and the principal asks me to print something. And I tell the principal, oh, wait, let me make sure the principal know on this live, so the principal think if my principal is say, you know, you're amazing, and this is just a hypothetical situation, I would never say this. Right. So the principal come and ask me to print something and say, oh, soldier, that's not my job description. And I walk off. All right, that is work to rule. Go slow is when you're performing your duties, but you're performing it extremely slow on purpose. Right? It's again another form of protest. Right? It's a keep back production. Distinguish the benefits of mediation as a means of conflict resolution. It teaches both parties how to communicate and how to solve conflict. Because when a third party comes in and listens to both parties and then helps make the decision, it teaches both parties that are involved how to do it themselves. So the next time they may not even need a mediator. Right? It also makes it easier for them to communicate with each other by having a third party. Sorry for the speed run, but I'm trying to I'm doing the opposite of what we did in the marathon. I'm trying to speed run to see if I could touch on all the topics. You all okay with that? On the Zoom?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then he asks, explain one way in which management can use each of the following guidelines to enhance relationships between management and staff. Open door policy. You remember we literally use these two things in our answer in one of the past papers we did as means
Yes, sir.
of improving, enhancing relationships. We said with the open door policy, it will help employees feel more comfortable with management, as management are basically saying that they could come in at any time and voice their concerns. So I'm gonna show you exactly how I wrote it. Huh? I said an open door policy may allow staff to feel more comfortable with communicating with management about any issues they may have. It also shows staff that management are willing to make time for their issues. This can lead to a better staff management relationship. I can't remember how much marks it was, but I believe it was 6 marks, so 3 marks each or something like that, right? That's why I write so much. Then for the annual retreat, they said annual retreats can create opportunities for staff and management to communicate informally in a more relaxed setting, allowing staff to see management in a different light and for better relationships to be created. That makes sense? You go out to have fun with each other, you bond, you create a better relationship. Yes, Monster Flick, I'll go through logistics. I'm trying to go in order. I'll do the next slide will be the one of logistics. Number 5, Mr. Mando is a very stern and serious leader. His orders are to be obeyed without question. We saw a few leadership questions. Many employees are afraid of him, but some think he's a good leader. List 4 characteristics of a good leader. I'm gonna get some characteristics of a good leader there.
Goal-oriented,
Willing to make
creative,
hard decisions for the team.
good decision-making
Right,
skills.
right. On the live, what are going on? Good too. Seeing critical thinking skills, positive attitude, a whole set of honesty, making intelligent,
Confident.
charismatic. What is that you said?
Open-minded,
Open-minded,
Confident. Confident.
confident. Somebody say a liar, yes? Wow. Right. The characteristics of a good leader include accountability, integrity, risk-taking, intelligence, committed, confidence, goal-oriented, innovative, focused, positive thinking, resilient, creative. I gave a few. Just to keep in mind, you can't put creative and innovative. They mean 2 different things, right? creative is finding the way to do something in a different, finding a way to do something in a different way. And innovative is creating something new. Hope you all understand the difference. So creative is something already there. You're trying to find a different way to do it. And innovative is doing something completely new. All right, so you can put both of them. Then you ask to identify the type of leadership style that is being practiced by Mr. Mando, given one reason for your answer. All right, so that's
Isn't it
Autocratic.
autocratic?
the right? Autocratic leadership style. If you was listening to the session,
Because it said he's a very stern and serious leader. Those are
no,
characters.
don't put that as a reason.
No.
Put his
Oh.
orders are obeyed without question. Because I could be stern and serious and still listen to people before making decisions. Huh? So the reason would be his orders are obeyed without question. That part says that he doesn't listen to suggestions. He just makes decisions. You understand? So make
Yes, sir.
right. So
So
when it says the
so
reason for your
for that
answer,
you could also play, or you could also say he makes decision without consulting persons.
yes. But because they say giving one reason for your answer to be completely safe, put what they have in the passage. It says autocratic because according to the passage, his orders are obeyed without question. Right? Did you go through leadership style already? I'm doing it right now. Well, I'm doing a question on it right now. So democratic would be what?
Democratic is that when you listen to them and then that determines the
Correct.
outcome.
You're correct. You listen to your subordinates before making decisions. What is charismatic?
Using your charm and stuff like that.
Right. You're using your charm to motivate them. And what is laissez-faire?
Very laid back.
The
You're free to do
subordinates
what you want.
Right. So
makes
laissez-faire is when you allow
decisions.
subordinates to make their own decisions. Right? I want you to keep in mind, no leadership style is a bad one per se. Based on the situation, one leadership style might be better than the other in a certain situation. So if I hire somebody to do artwork for me, I'm not going to be autocratic. I might actually be laissez-faire. Because if I hire them to do artwork, chances are they are better at art than I am. So instead of messing up their creative process, I would let them make their own decisions. Right? I'll just say this for once, you do your thing. All right, so not not leadership styles are not good or bad. It varies based on the situation. If you're at war, you want an autocratic leader. You don't want people about to shoot you with machine guns and you say, all right, guys, let's huddle together. Let me hear the suggestions before we make a decision. Before the third decision, all you're dead, right? So it varies based on the situation. Outline one way in which Mr. Mando's style of leadership can affect this organization positively and negatively. All right, so you see, some people will say autocratic is terrible, but it has good and bad. What's one positive way it could affect the organization?
Faster decision making.
Fast
It will
decision.
be efficient.
Right, and negative.
Demotivating the employees.
Employees will feel
They're not feeling, they're
Right.
not having a sense of belonging in the
It
organization.
could also stifle creativity, and you could lose out on potentially good ideas. Because the subordinates might have a good idea, but he ain't want to hear it because he just giving them orders. Right? Then he asks to list two leadership styles other than the one identified above. We already know them, right? So we know autocratic. There's the one that.
Transformational.
All right. So autocratic is when they make decisions without consultation. Democratic, they listen to subordinates before making decisions. Charismatic, they use their charm to motivate. Laissez-faire, they allow subordinates to make their own decisions. So two leadership styles other than the ones identified above. If we describing them, we describe democratic, laissez-faire, or charismatic, right? Then they ask, recommend an appropriate leadership style For a large secondary school, given one reason for your answer. So you see that last part, given one reason for your answer. If your reason is good, you could probably use any leadership style. If your reason is good, if you say autocratic, because the principal may have a great idea on how education should be portrayed, and he or she may want the teachers to follow that ideology. So they are autocratic, democratic. Each teacher will be skilled in their particular field, and it may be best if the principal listens to their input before making decisions. Charismatic, motivated teachers can be more efficient in the classroom, and if the principal is a charismatic leader, he or she could ensure that the students receive a great service from the teachers. However you want to word it, if you word it good, you will get the marks, right? That give one reason for your answer. Once your reason is top, you will get the mark no matter what leadership style. I think I put democratic or something. Let me see. Yes, I put democratic. In a large secondary school with different students pursuing different subjects, the support and suggestions from the various teachers who specialize in the various subjects can prove to be useful. So my suggestion was good and fitting. I will get the mark. This one now, this was outline 2 responsibilities of management of a business to each of the following: society, employees, and customers. Right? I'm gonna go through this quick. So for society, they provide jobs and they have to ensure that they keep the environment safe. So they can't pollute the environment and stuff like that, right? They could also sponsor community events. Thanks for the gift, by the way. I know I'm late, but thank you for the friendship necklace. Sorry, I was in teaching mode. I think foreign investment is going to be on the paper, I really don't know. I think logistics. I provide jobs. Then employees, right? They have to provide good working conditions, treat them fairly, pay them, maintain good communication. Customers, they have to deal with complaints, ensure that the goods and services that they are selling are of adequate quality and safe, right? They should not false advertise. Then they ask the states 4 ways. Government and consumer protection, yes, I will. State 4 ways in which managers can encourage teamwork within an organization. 4 ways in which management can encourage teamwork in an organization. Set team goals. Do team building exercises. Sorry. Right. They could design an open and engaging work environment. They could have staff retreats. They could have friendly competitions among the staff. They could have teamwork, team building training. There's many different ways they could encourage teamwork, right? I believe you went through a question like that. And then they ask what? Describe 2 characteristics that would make a prime minister or president a good leader. Can I hold the phone in landscape? I don't think you want me to. Yeah, everything yeah, everything you want me to. All right. 2 characteristics that would make the prime minister or president a good leader. Honest. One day you'll get an honest one. About them, do them things. All right, honest. Integrity. That's a big one. What's going on? Let's know. Like more. Mistake. 1 second. A leader should be able to be creative. A prime minister or president may be faced with unexpected problems where creativity may be needed to resolve them. A leader should have integrity. Prime ministers and presidents are trusted with a lot of the nation's wealth and should possess integrity to seek the well-being of the nation and not themselves. And the last question was, the manager of DXC Limited wants to promote Steve, a junior employee, in a key position in an organization. There are several employees who are senior to Steve and are interested in the same position. Discuss 2 strategies which the management of DXC Limited can employ to reduce conflict that may arise in this promotion. So, questions like this, you're not going to see an answer in a textbook really, right? It's really for you to apply the knowledge that you have to a particular scenario. There's a tricky scenario because at the end of the day, once something like this happens, there will be conflict, right? So there's no way to completely get rid of conflict. So you have to try and be creative with your answer. So what I put here was management can meet with senior employees and explain to them out of courtesy the reason for giving the promotion to Steve and showing them that there will be future opportunities for them to elevate. Management can outline the exact skills and qualifications needed for the position, which would more than likely match the skills and qualifications possessed by Steve, justifying his promotion. Right? So that's how to be a creative with your answer. This topic now, establishing a business. So these topics in this were entrepreneurs, definition, characteristics, roles and functions, reasons for wanting to establish a business, essential steps in establishing a business, the business plan, sources of information for conducting research. Yeah, I'm doing this right now. Significance of a feasibility study, planning and operating of a business, operation of a business, location of a business, regulatory practice instituted by governments, capital and significance of collateral. One second, let's take a look. When is my water? Give me 1 second, yo. Just taking a little sip of water. Oh, gosh. Give me 1 second. Let me just plug in my charger. Give me 1 second. All right, we're back. To define the term feasibility study, there's a question that we saw fairly often, paper 1 especially. What is a feasibility study again?
It's an investigation done to basically see how a business will do in the future,
To see if it's viable.
possibly.
Checking the viability of the business venture to see if it makes sense to start the business venture or not, right?
You would see like your competitors, the prices, your potential customers would want to pay, what they want to purchase and stuff like that.
Correct. So what I have here is this is an assessment to determine if a proposed business venture is practical. So in again, start a business if the profit is $20 a week. Outline three instances where feasibility studies are useful. So they use a feasibility study when they're thinking about starting a new business venture. They may use a feasibility study if they're thinking about launching a new product. So if you notice, sometimes when companies are launching a new product, they will be giving out free samples and stuff. That has multiple purposes. That is to make customers aware of the potential new product and also to gauge feedback from customers to see if they like it or not, if they might be willing to purchase it, and so forth, right? If adjustments to the product are needed. All that is part of their feasibility study, right? So they entering a new market, they creating a new product, they now starting a company, thinking about starting a company. All those are reasons to start a feasibility study. What I put here were the three instances where feasibility studies are useful are: one, when an organization is about to take on a large initiative where a great amount of resources may be needed, when organizations are considering offering a new product or service, or when consideration is being made about expanding into a new market. You could also put when you're thinking about starting a business, right? Is this better angle-wise? Not you all on the Zoom, on the live. Then they ask, state 3 rules of an entrepreneur. The rules of an entrepreneur will be to guard all the factors of production. They will access the finances. They will bear all the risk. They want to create the idea in the first place. They will do all the planning and strategizing. They will delegate any responsibility. Right? So they have quite a few rules, right? So I have here risk bearer. The entrepreneur bears all the risk involved in starting and operating a business. Accessing funds on financing, the entrepreneur is responsible for accumulating all the funds required for business operations. 3, conceptualizing. The entrepreneur is one who creates the business idea in order to start the business. 4, planning. It is the role of the entrepreneur to do all necessary planning in order to achieve success with the organization. All right. You could also talk about gathering the factors of production. Then he asks, discuss 2 ways in which entrepreneurs contribute to the development of the country. Think we did a question like this. They said discuss. So you're going to state 1, explain it in 2 ways, or state 1, explain it, and give an example, right? So 1, the creation of jobs. When entrepreneurs start businesses, they also create job opportunities for members of society. This can allow these members to generate more income, which can lead to an increase in the country's GDP. The provision for goods and services. The provision of goods and services by local businesses can reduce the need for import and make the acquisition of necessary goods easier. All right? Thanks to the follows and stuff for them. Appreciate it. Number 5, state the main purpose of a business plan. Describe 4 elements of a business plan. Identify 2 forms of collateral. Outline 2 reasons why bankers require collateral from borrowers. Explain 2 ways in which unethical business practices impact on the borrower. I like this question. So they ask, state the main purpose of a business plan. The main purpose of a business plan is to help manage a business by outlining its goals and objectives and how they will be achieved. All right, so when it also gives the owner a clear vision on how to operate the business, right? Or how to proceed with the business. All right, yes, as a nice way to say it, Mel, it serves as a guidance or roadway. Good job. Then they say describe 4 elements of the business plan. There's the executive summary, which loves to come in paper 1, right? Right. The executive summary is an overview or a summary of the entire business plan, right? Then there's the operational plan. This gives details of the objectives of the business as well as information such as its name, address, legal structure, aims, and objective. Then they talk about the business opportunity, to have the marketing plan, to have the financial forecast. Yes, they could have a production plan as well. All these are elements of it, right? Business opportunity, describe the product or service proposed. Market plan, describe the potential customers, the strategies that will be used to reach them. And the nature of competition. Financial forecast, they talk about the source of finance, the potential cash flow. You look at the potential sales and profits, the sale and profit forecast. Then it asks the 2 forms of collateral. So I put a few here. I think we did a question on this. Property, stocks, bonds, money, cash surrender value, and life insurance policies, motor vehicles, appliances. Then they ask, yes, accounts receivable is the next one. That's one that I don't have here. And, well, property, real estate. Well, yeah, real estate is one. Outline 2 reasons why bankers require collateral from borrowers. All right, it's to help reduce risk. So if the borrower's credit is not the greatest, collateral may be needed. Collateral may be needed to reduce the risk to the lender. All right. When the sum of money being borrowed is very large, for example, in mortgages, lenders may require collateral to reduce risk. I don't know why I put that. Is that the same thing twice? So what you could put as is if in the event that the borrower fails to pay, the lender can get back the initial amount lent using the collateral.
So would that be like we say like furniture, like a car or something, like a house?
Yeah, so I tell the bank, as you see, if I don't pay it back, I could take my car.
So that's just another word for like a mortgage?
No, collateral, you could use collateral for getting a mortgage. So collateral is security to get a loan. So I take the loan and my collateral is, so if I take a car loan, my collateral is, if I don't pay the loan, they could take my car and I sign legal documents agreeing to this. So if I miss too much payments, they could literally come with a tow truck, take my car, and dive out. And they will sell it and get back their money. And that's a hard luck for me. Then they ask, explain 2 ways in which unethical business practices affect the borrower. This is the question I'd like. I like questions like this because it causes you all to critically think now. So if you're doing unethical business practices, it could give you a reputation, which will make it harder for you to get a loan. If you get caught doing unethical business practices, you could actually get, while trying to get a loan, you could get fined, or according to the severity, you could get jail time, right? Because it is fraud. If a business is known or suspected to be unethical, it can hurt its reputation, which can greatly reduce its chances of being able to borrow. If during the loan application, the business is found to be given misleading information, the loan application will most likely be denied. Not most likely, it will be denied. You ain't getting no loan. Number 3, Sally Brown has the potential to be a very good entrepreneur. She is making great arrangements to start a business using local resources. Define the term resources. Then it's identify 2 types of resources that is important to Sally Brown in starting a business, and then to explain the importance of each resource in the business.
Would I be like having money to like start it in the first place, like a float or
That's a resource.
capital?
That is a resource. So they say Sally Brown has the potential to be a very good resources refer to the factors of production needed to execute plans and projects. Identify 2 types of resources that are important to Sally Brown in starting her business. Labor. Sally Brown may need skilled workers depending on the type of business she's starting. Raw materials may be needed in order to create the goods or services being offered. Capital, there's the one you spoke about. Money or other equipment may be needed in order to acquire and create the items that are needed for the business. Then they said, outline 3 factors that Sally should consider when choosing a location for her business. Yes, McStearland, correct. So, location for the business, proper infrastructure, proximity to target market, proximity to competitors, proximity to suppliers,
Safety.
safety, so the level of crime. How close you are to your labor force. All of those are factors they should consider, right? So it's 3 factors and it's 6 marks each. So you can't.
Crime rate would be 1.
What's that? Crime rate? Yes.
Crime rate,
Yeah.
power and water and stuff like that.
Yes. So when I say infrastructure, I talk about parking, proper lighting, proper water, all those things, right?
Okay.
This is common.
Oh, sorry, what about cost?
Yeah, for sure. So a place where the crime rate is relatively low, a place with easily accessible to customers, the location of suppliers, proper infrastructure, the location of competitors, all those things, right? Then they say, discuss 2 ways in which a country may benefit from from the opening of Sally's new business. So the Sally open a new business, more jobs, more products and services being offered, more taxes paid to the government, more spending happening in the country. And when those things happen, that could lead to a higher GDP, which will increase the standard of living. There's so much benefit you could get from it, right? I could go on and on and on. So you can talk better. Somebody to ask me if I can talk better. And the person profile because they bending over backwards. So I should probably ignore that. All right. We continue. All right, potential creation of jobs, supply of new goods and services, the increase in spending on the GDP of the country, more taxes paid to the government, which can contribute to improvements of infrastructure, and increased standard of living. Next one. What was coming? State two functions of each of the following departments of a business. So just to be safe, I go through at least 4 departments. So they do marketing and finance first, obviously, but some functions are marketing.
Advertising the services and the products offered.
Right, advertising,
Brand recognition.
brand recognition, customer service, market research, anything to do with customers, right?
Finance provide money.
Finance, but yeah, so they will maintain the bank accounts, they will make payments, they will assist with payroll, they will complete all financial statements, they would prepare all bank reconciliations, they would prepare all source documents like invoices and receipts and stuff like that. What about the production department?
Produce goods.
Produce goods, store them, do quality control. What about
Transportation.
transport goods? What about human resource department? Human resource department will hire and fire.
Recruitment,
Recruit employees.
induction,
Induction or the
Deal with complaints and like
complaints, training.
education and training.
Right. Somebody asked me to repeat marketing, anything to do with customers. So advertising, customer service, market research, deal with customer complaints, promotions, pricing, stuff like that, right? No problem. 2 reasons why individuals maybe decide to start their own business. We do this already. Make their own profit, realize a dream, use a skill, create jobs, provide goods and services, create a family legacy. There's so much reasons, right? Achieve a goal, be your own boss. Explain 2 differences between long-term planning and short-term planning. Remember, we did a question like this,
yes.
but they worded it a bit differently. And that's why they wanted
Short term.
and benefits are short-term. So this one, they want differences. So short-term planning is usually for like 12 months or less. And long-term will be 5 to 10 years, right? 12 months or less and is concerned with daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals. Long-term planning usually require a longer period of time, 4 to 5 years or longer, and seeks to resolve problems permanently and reach overall targets. All right, so I gave two differences each. 2 differences. The time periods and what they focus on, right? So the first one was time period, short term, takes normally be around 12 months or less. And then what they focus on, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly goals. Long-term planning takes longer period, looking at 5 to 10 years. I have 4 to 5 here, but it's 5 to 10 years. And it seeks to solve problems permanently and reach overall targets. So you're looking for long-term targets, right? Then they ask to state 3 advantages of private limited companies. Right, so which advantages I have here? Limited liability, separate legal entity, no minimum capital, free and easy to transfer of shares, ability to raise large amount of capital, more avenues for borrowing, and next one that I didn't put here, it is protected from hostile takeovers. So with limited liability companies, if somebody owns 51% of the shares or more, they can make all the decisions. Because anytime there's a vote, nobody could ever outvote them, right? Because remember, their vote will stand for 51%. They can't get higher than 51%. But with private limited companies, in order for somebody to buy shares, all other shareholders must agree. So somebody new can't buy shares just like that, right? In public, they could. Anybody could buy shares at any time. All right, now we're starting off legal aspects of our business now. We find it in contracts. I think we saw one question with contracts last time.
A legally binding agreement.
Legally binding agreement. You'll give me 1 second. Right, I'm back. So a contract is a legally binding agreement between two parties.
Two party.
All right, thanks to the rules, Mambi. Appreciate it. Outline two differences between a simple contract and a specialty contract, given one example of each type of contract. So remember the three quality
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
sign, seal, and deliver, right?
Mhm.
It must so a specialty contract must be signed by both parties, which means it must be written.
And simple
I mean,
is oral.
written, oral, or implied by actions. There is one difference. A specialty contract must be sealed with the company stamp. Specialty contracts, simple contracts don't have to be, right? Specialty contracts must be delivered to both parties. So both parties must have a copy. Simple contracts don't have to be. Right? So once you remember the
So
three,
what exactly is the simple one? Like
a simple
just
contract is any legally binding agreement between two parties. So if I say, Johanna, you wanna buy a shoe from me for $100, and you tell me yes, that is a simple contract. It could be written, it could be verbal, it could be implied by action. When I go to the grocery with my headphones in my ears, I pick up a bottle of water. I drop it by the cashier, pull out my money, give it to the cashier, take my water and go. I didn't say a word, but because of my actions, we entered a contract. All right? So it could be any legally binding agreement between two or more parties. It must have certain criteria, which we'll take a look at in one of these questions, I believe. So you'll get to see it in a little more detail, right? Good night, Annalisa Mohammed. Right, then it asks outline 3 ways in which a contract may be terminated. And we did this too. They say
Breach.
you're gonna have to
Lapse of time. Time lapse.
right. So when it's
Death.
that's good. So when it's say
Misrepresentation.
because they say outline and it's 6 marks, you'll have to explain it, right? So you could say, so I say by performance, both parties carry out their terms of the contract, 2 marks. By breach, one party fails to honor their terms, 2 marks. By agreement, both parties agree to end the contract. By frustration, something happens out of the control of one or both parties that makes it impossible for one or both parties to carry out their part of the contract. You could say that one or both parties die. Lapse of time, the time limit to carry out a part of the particular part of the contract has lapsed. notice. The party gives sufficient notice of the termination of a contract. That will be for employment contracts. Thanks, Bambi. Then they say discuss 2 rules governing offer and acceptance of a contract. I'd like Miss definition. All right. So offer and acceptance, right? Offer is plenty rules. You all choose. An offer can be made to one person, a group of people, or the world at large. Acceptance only occurs when you accept all terms of the offer. You can only accept an offer that was made to you. Let me see which ones I put. An offer can only be accepted by someone the offer was made to. Acceptance must be communicated. Right, and next one, silence is not acceptance. Right, acceptance must be communicated in some way. If it's by your actions, by something you write or something, but not doing anything at all is not acceptance. The offer must be accepted without modifications, otherwise it is a counter offer. So I say, Johanna, you wanna buy a shoe for 100? Johanna say, yeah, but I'm gonna get 80, no? That's not acceptance. It just changed the terms, so it's now a counter offer. Invitations to treat are not offers and cannot be accepted. You all remember one of the questions was, what does an invitation to treat is normally mistaken for? It's normally mistaken for offers. You remember that question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. Next one. The following are terms used on business financial documents. Errors and omissions accepted, well, E and OE, accounts payee only, refer to drawer, still dated. Terms 5%, 7 days, 3%, 28 days, otherwise net. 1 second. They want to explain the meaning of any 3 of the above terms. We're going to look at all meanings, right? So E and OE means errors and omissions accepted. So it's a kind of legal protection. They're trying to say there's a chance that there could be errors on this document. Don't hold us legally required to follow through if there's any errors. So if, for example, the invoice says 100, but it was supposed to say 1,000, I let you know there's a possibility that there could be errors, and it can't hold me responsible for it and say that I have to now charge you 100 only based on the error. Then they ask accounts payee only. It means that the check must be paid into the account in the name of the payee, exactly as the name appears on the check. So your wife have to give a nice gift after sexy. Have to give, she had to get a nice gift. Refer to draw, because all this time I used to be rhyming on online with all you. Refer to draw is a phrase used by the bank when suspending payment for a check. So I give somebody a check for $1,000, they go to cash it. The bank realize I have $3.75 in my bank account. They give the check back to you and they mark refer to draw on it. So anyway, they come back to me. Still dated, that means the check is 6 months or more too old. Right? So once the date on the check is 6 months or later, you can no longer cash the check. So a check presented at the bank, at the paying bank 6 months or more after it was issued, it is no longer valid. 5%, 7 days, 3%, 28 days, otherwise net. When you see something like that, it means you can get a 5% discount if you pay within 7 days. You'll get a 3% discount if you pay later than 7 days, but before 28 days. Otherwise, you have to pay the full amount. That's what that means. 5% 7 days, you get 5% discount if you pay within 7 days. 3% 28 days. If it's longer than 7 but less than 28, you get 3%. Otherwise, they pay the full amount. Right. Then he asks, explain what is meant by any we do that already. Discuss 2 reasons why it is necessary to have adequate documentation of business transactions. Right, so they said it allows businesses, it allows businesses to establish a quality risk management system. It can protect certain investments and allow persons to feel more secure. It enables mitigation of losses. It promotes financial stability. Sorry. Documentation, where's that? Oh, that's so. Oh, it's the last thing. It also proves that certain transactions took place. Outline 3 reasons why insurance is important in trade. It allows businesses to establish a quality risk management system. It can protect certain investments and allow persons to feel more secure. Enables mitigation of losses, promotes financial stability. Oh, that's what I read. That was what I read just now. I was wondering. Up on there. Right, the documentation instills confidence in a business, in clients and investors. It allows it to approve certain transactions. So place it is required by law. I was wondering, what answers are put for that one? Right. Then they say discuss a situation where debit note should be used. A lot of people confuse a debit note as with a credit note. Debit notes are used when invoices are understated. So I used to send an invoice for 1,000. I send the invoice for 900 by accident. So I send a debit note stating that the invoice needs 100 more on it. Debit notes are used when invoices are understated. All right, so that is one PowerPoint. I'm gonna get the next one. Just have 2 more to do. Check past the person. Answers. All right, so we continued legal aspects of a business, and then we did production, marketing, logistics and supply chain, and business finance in this one. At the time I have to update this, At the time I did it, it didn't have much logistics and supply chain questions, but now it's a real plenty. So here I did it. All right, so we continue legal aspects of a business. So we still have to do some more contracts, business documents, and insurance. Thanks, Bambi, for the gift. I appreciate it. Still hoping somebody send me them last 8 stars so I can complete my goal. Hurrying back here, hurrying. Right. List 2 types of documents used in business transactions. And let's go straight to the answer. State 2 types of documents used in business transactions. There are receipts, invoices, pro forma invoices, quotations, purchase orders, delivery notes, consignment notes. So please check your inbox when you're offline. No problem, Miss Definition. distinguish between in terms insurance and assurance. So both of them are protection, right? However, insurance is financial protection against things that might happen, like theft, fire, flood. Assurance is financial protection against the risk of things that will happen, like death. All right, Csec is live on YouTube. For you? I wonder if you're going to talk about the POE. Just now, I just have to check and see if Csec really live on YouTube here. So don't really have an announcement. One second, huh? Yo. And I see nothing. Our YouTube channel name Csec now. Good. Hey boy. I say Csec live. You give me some train up there. I see you gonna say something. All right, they continue. But for real, why would Csec be live at 10:51? I didn't think it through. All right. Question. State two types of documents. Right, we did that one. Distinguish between insurance and assurance. We did that one. Identify two types of insurance policies. So fire, theft, health insurance, flood, marine insurance. All of those, right? Then they said, outline two unethical business practices related to record keeping and state one consequence of each of these practices outlined. All right. So they like to alter it. So they want to alter the records to make it seem, so they alter records for different reasons, right? For example, let's say they're trying to get investors to invest, they may alter the records to make it seem as if they make more money. Or they're trying to duck tax, they might alter it to make it seem as if they make it losses, right? Either way, you're getting a fine or jail time, right? Another thing they do, they try to withhold documents or they try to destroy it to hide proof of wrongdoing. Again, jail time, right? Can you explain assurance? Please show. Insurance is financial protection against things that might happen, and assurance is financial protection against the risk of things that will happen. So, if I get sick, I can't protect myself from getting sick really. I'm sick, right? What happens when I get sick is that I may not be able to work, so I'll lose money. I might have to pay for medical bills and medicine and stuff like that, so that'll cost money. What insurance does is that instead of me having to worry about the financial part, they would pay it for me. So I'm actually paying them to take over the financial risk of what happens to me financially if I get sick. For assurance now, there are people who rely on me and rely on my money. So I need to be alive in order to provide for them, right? Like my son, for example. If I pass away, assurance will take up that role for me. If I pass away before a particular age, they, according to how much I was insured for, they would pay the money to my beneficiaries. So there's a financial risk involved with me dying. If I die now, God forbid, my children won't have that source of income anymore. My wife won't have that source of income anymore. So to avoid that risk, that financial risk of me dying, I have life insurance. That's what assurance is. And insured, so I will die. That's a fact, right? Well, I think so. I don't know. Never know how technology could go. Anyway, but So assurance is for things that will happen, so will die eventually. Insurance is for things that might happen. So like fire and stuff, right? 1 second, again, guys, give me 1 second. Alright, so I hope you understand the difference between insurance and assurance. Now, discuss the benefits of keeping good business records. Keeping good records allows you to better monitor the progress of the business. It will help make decision making easier. It will help make tax returns easier. It will reduce the chances of errors. Anything like that, right? Gosh. Then they ask to state the difference between a simple contract and a mere agreement. So a simple contract is legally binding and a mere agreement is not. Simple as that. Simple contract, legally binding, a mere agreement is not. List 4 requirements of a valid contract. All right, so this is where I told somebody that later on we're going to be talking about what a contract needs. So it must have,
Legality.
right, legality. It must have offer and acceptance. As I said before, do not put offer as one. So somebody has to give an example of a mere agreement. So your parents tell you if you pass exams, you'll get a PS5. That's a mere agreement. Or say, hey, they go online by the mall tomorrow, no? That's a mere agreement, right? It lacks some of the qualities of a contract. For one, the biggest thing it lacks is consideration, which we'll talk about after, right? So one is offer and acceptance. You cannot have offer alone. You have to have offer and acceptance. So you're putting it as one characteristic. You're not putting it as two separate things. Number 2, there must be consideration. Consideration is when something of value is passing between both parties. If I tell Chelsea, I'm giving you $10,000 tomorrow, and tomorrow I don't give her 10,000, that is not, she can't sue me because I offered her something of value, but she didn't give me something of value in return. So there was no consideration. Something of value must be passing between both parties, or at least the promise of something of value must be passing between both parties for it to have a contract, right? It must be legal. So you cannot take me to court if you pay money for weed and I didn't give you all the weed you wanted. You cannot take me to court, you'll just get arrested, right? Because the contract must be legal. It must be possible. I cannot say, as you see Michael, give me 10,000, you see that moon there, that moon is yours. Not possible. It's not a contract. They must have the capacity to contract. Having the capacity to contract means you're 18 years and older, unless it's an educational contract. You're not drunk or under the influence, and you're of sound mind, so you're not mental or anything like that, and you're not in jail. People who are in jail lose the right to enter contracts. So you must do, to recap, offer and acceptance.
Or an alien.
Sorry?
What about aliens?
Aliens, as in
Yeah, residential.
residential aliens.
Right.
Oh, talking about Martians and things for a second there. Not going to say our cousin, but all right. So, yes, you can enter contracts with non-residents. You can. All right. So, must have offer and acceptance. Must have consideration. Must be legal. Must be possible. Must have the capacity to contract. And there must be no duress, misrepresentation, or fraud. Right? No duress, misrepresentation, or fraud. Right?
So that is where the good faith will come in.
That's where the
Good faith.
yeah, exactly. Duress is when they force somebody to do something. So I put a gun to your head and say, hey, sell them shoes for $5. Right? That's not a contract. Then they give you a case study. So for contract questions, they don't always do it, but if they give you a case study, they're going to give you one for contracts. Sorry. John Pebbles requested Albert Rock to transport a group of young people to a concert. The agreed cost of the trip was $5,000. John made a down payment of $100. Very important. However, the group felt that the price was too much and decided to cancel the trip. Albert was not informed about the change of plans, so he presented his transport at the appointed time to take the group to the concert. John Pebbles then told Albert that he was very sorry that the group had changed its plans. Albert demanded that John pay them immediately or face courts. John refused to pay on the grounds that he received no service to Albert. Based on the information in the case, justify why the arrangement between John and Albert can be considered a valid contract. Would that be considered a valid contract?
No.
Actually, yes, it would be. So they had offer and acceptance. John Pebbles requested Albert Rock to transport the group of young people to the concert. The agreed cost of the trip was $5,000. So they had offer and acceptance. John made a down payment of $100. Consideration does not have to be adequate. It just has to have some value. So if you sell me your house for $1, you cannot go to the court and say it had no consideration. $1 has value. That is enough to be consideration. So John made a down payment of $100. That means there was consideration. There was offer and acceptance. There was consideration. The contract is legal. The contract is possible. There was no misrepresentation, no fraud, no duress. Both have the capacity to contract. So it's a valid contract. They had all the essentials needed of a valid contract. Remember, one of the ways to terminate a contract is by agreement. Agreement means both parties must agree to terminate the contract. Did both parties agree? Did both parties agree?
No.
Nope. So there is a valid contract. So you can say, based on it is a valid contract because there was offer and acceptance, there was consideration. The two most important parts of a contract was there. Using the information from the case, determine whether there was a breach of contract. Yes, there was a breach of contract because since we know the contract is we know there is a contract, John is supposed to pay Albert and Albert is supposed to drop the group. Albert did his part. He came prepared to drop the group. It's not his fault that they are not going any transportation again. John has to do his part. John is failing to do his part, so there is a breach of contract. So John has to get his money. So Albert had to get his money. I know John was paying me. I ain't cancel my trips for the day and drive up by there for nothing just for you to tell me to cancel. And he was paying me. Right? Identify 2 remedies.
Sir,
Yes.
what are the requirements of the contract again? Would
Yeah.
those be like,
There must be offer
Huh?
acceptance. There must be
Mhm.
consideration. So there must be something of value. Doesn't matter how much value, but there must be something of value passing between both parties. It could be an act, or it could be the promise of an act, right?
Mhm.
Right? The contract must be legal. It must be possible.
Oh, so it's legal agreements, good faith, capacity, and consideration?
Yeah. Offer
Okay.
acceptance.
Okay.
Right. Then they ask 2 remedies that the court could award, right? This is something I don't think we touched in the marathon, actually. So there's specific performance, rescission, damages, and injunction. So specific performance, they could ask you to do something specific. So let's say you was building a wall for me and you didn't build it the way I wanted it to, based on our agreement, the court could tell you you had to build it the way I wanted to. Right? To have damages, they're giving you they're getting compensated financially. There's rescission and injunction. So rescission, what's that? What is that? Alright, I'll come on this now. Alright, so rescission and injunction, they either forcing you to do what you're supposed to do in the contract, or forcing you not to do something. Right? The most common ones are damages and specific performance. You gain money, or they're telling you to do something specific. Then what was the ask? Outline 2 ways, apart from breach, by which a contract may be terminated or discharged. I mean, know that. Agreement, debt, notice, performance, frustration, lapse of time, give notice, so forth, right? Right, let's look at production. Let's see. Alright, it's 11 o'clock. I don't worry. Still too late. Let's see if we can do production, marketing, and logistics. Oh, my battery running low. 1 second. I'm going to plug back in my charger. I'm confident all you will pass through. Oh, everybody who on the live and who on Zoom, go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. I'm gonna post some videos from tomorrow. Bali's Tutor Professionals. Go search us on YouTube and subscribe, please. I'll appreciate it. I was supposed to send the link in the group. I'll send it. Bali's Tutor Professionals on YouTube. Go subscribe. How we talk about. Those who subscribe already, I appreciate you all. Now give me 1 second, I'm gonna just plug in the charger. Charger. All right, ready to production. Distinguish between capital-intensive production and labor-intensive production, giving one example of each form of production. So capital-intensive is when there's way more capital than labor, right? There's way more machinery and automation than labor. So an example would be like the manufacturing of cars. And labor intensive is the opposite. There's way more labor than capital, right? So put capital intensive production refers to production that requires large amounts of investment into fixed assets, such as property, plant, and machinery, rather than labor. If you don't want to say all of that, you could just say there's way more capital, there's more capital than labor. Example, production of motor vehicles. Labor-intensive production refers to production that requires large amounts of workers to produce goods and services rather than capital. Example, agriculture. Then they said employees must be technologically competent to succeed in today's workplace. List 4 technological competences that today's employees need. This was 2010. So the technology changed greatly now, but there's computer literacy, the ability to use emails, digital conferencing, word processing, search engines, social media management, worksheets. All of these are things they need to be able to do in the workplace, right? 2 disadvantages of modern technology. It's costly. It could take away, well, these days especially, it could take away jobs from from lower skilled workers, right? So it may be very expensive to purchase and maintain, increases the risk of job loss, higher dependency on technology, data and fraud security risks. Are you nervous? Are you nervous for POB? Are you passing this? Discuss 2 ways in which modern technology can improve efficiency of a business. So you can finish complete tasks faster, more efficiently, so less errors. It could help create new avenues for completing certain tasks. Have you done so logistics and supply chain yet? No, but it's on this slide, so I'll be doing it just now. The use of computer programs can help increase efficiency of business by helping reduce the number of human errors that may have occurred in its absence. It also assists with completing tasks at a faster rate, which increases productivity of workers. Right? It can help improve and create new avenues for communicating with customers and suppliers and employees and all those things, right? TY, you mean ask me? I'll guide you. You're safe. Number 7, Mr. Chambers owns a souvenir shop in the tourism belt. If questions on business finances come here on the tourism belt, and wants to contract several cottage industries to supply him with local made souvenirs. This is state 4 features of a cottage industry. I'm gonna hear some features there.
Small in size.
Scale. Home-based.
Home-based. Say that again?
Easy to manage.
Yeah, but I want
Easy startup.
cottage industry.
Less paperwork.
No, that is for small businesses. What you're saying now, easy to manage, less paperwork. Those are for small businesses. You could say
Use
it's
friends and family for
Rabbit.
labor.
family labor, right? Labor intensive. You could say they use local materials. You could say production. Things like that, right? So home based, you could say usually small in size, labor intensive, uses family labor, uses local resources. Say those, right? Don't use less paperwork and stuff, you're not wrong, but I don't want the examiners to be, I don't know if they'll be extra strict or whatnot, because those are for, they're not really specific to cottage industries, it's for any small business.
Okay.
Right. How much questions on paper? 2-5. Identify 2 examples of cottage industries in your country. Bali's premium Contractual. I hear he have the best Contractual in the world, and he's a cottage industry, whoever that person is. Right? Definitely use that if that come as a question for Bali's Contractual. Don't put Contractual, for Bali's Contractual. Right, but Contractual, chow, doubles, bead, I always call them waste bead things that want to use in local resources, candles, soaps, necklaces, stuff like that, right? Somebody say bag juice. Hey, oh, yeah, bag juice across world there too. Oh, yeah, bag juice. Did I mention Bali's Contractual? Bali's Contractual, that's the next one. Somebody say pizza, Contractual by Bali's. All right.
Are
Discuss
you sure that is not your Contractual business? Anything?
my
know.
what? Business, huh? When stream ending, it ending when we finish everything. All right, discuss 2 benefits of linkage industries. It reduces the need for imports because you're buying locally. It encourages more local spending, which stimulates the economy and increases the GDP. Yeah, I think Bali's Contractual is a good one. I think so too. Christmas time. Oh, they check me? Well, one says 18. If it's 17 or 16, tell your parents check one. Right, so 2 benefits of linkage industries. I'm gonna show you all the answers. Come to 2 benefits of linkage industries. Companies are able to save on imports and increase exports through items produced by linkage. The formation of linkages can help increase the national income and standard of living. Somebody say increase employment. Always clutch. Facts. The amount of answers, the amount of questions, I should say, increase employment can be the answer for. Somebody asked if repeat POB questions. This happened in paper 2. I used to say no, and I was proved incorrect when we were doing the marathon. We saw questions repeat word for word. Right? In some instances, they repeat word for word. In some instances, it might be similar questions, but it might change the scenario. Explain 2 social implications of capital-intensive production. Kind of looked at it already. The biggest one is that low non-skilled labor can lose their jobs, right? So increased capital-intensive production can lead to an increased unemployment for workers. Companies may also be less in tune with customer needs and wants, as they may lack the personal touch of employees, but you'll have less workers and more machines. Then they said, outline 2 ways in which tourism industry benefits from the cottage industry. Almost all the time, they will ask you to link cottage industries with tourism, right? Because it is a big part of tourism. Tourists come to our Caribbean countries to purchase from these cottage industries, to experience cottage industries. Because cottage industries use local materials to create their goods and services, they actually get to experience the country. So, as cottage industries usually use local materials to make their products and services, something that tourists usually like to experience, right? I don't know how I would have things over. All right, take out the ads. It also leads to to the industry bringing in a large amount of foreign exchange, because they come in and they spending their money on these cottage industries. Number 4, differentiate between each of the following pairs of terms: production and productivity. Production is the creation of goods and services. Productivity is the measure of efficiency of creating these goods and services.
Sir, if I said productivity and like, okay, if I basically said that it's the output over the input. Would I get some type of mark?
Yeah, you'll get it. That's the formula for productivity. But you'll get marks, but I would quicker explain it. But you're not wrong. So production is the conversion process. So I went real detail in the answer. So you don't have to go so detailed. Huh? Production is the conversion process, the process of converting raw materials and other inputs into products, whereas productivity is the process of producing goods efficiently. It measures how the factors of production are utilized. Right? Somebody said it perfectly. So instead of saying output over input, if we say productivity is the rate of output made from inputs, then that'll be perfect, right?
Okay.
Then they say subsistence production and domestic production. So we know subsistence production is direct production. You're producing goods and services for yourself because money doesn't exist, right? Domestic production is, it's 2014 and we did the same question. I think it's really repeatable. Domestic production is producing enough goods and services to trade locally. And what is surplus again? What is surplus production again?
So when you have to export, sorry.
You have enough to export. Very good. State one advantage and one disadvantage of capital-intensive production. You really like to ask that way. So an advantage, you have increased efficiency. Disadvantage, you take jobs.
Sir,
Yeah?
you said something about for productivity, it's the rate of output. Can you complete that?
Yeah.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear the full sentence.
Right, so I can't take credit for the sentence. It's not a sentence that somebody said in the live. They said it was the rate of output produced based on the level of input. I'm paraphrasing. So I don't have the statement again. But it's the rate of output produced based on the level of input. The rate of output made from input. Some guy was on the live asking if I could speak properly. When I watch his profile, is a man bending over backwards.
Oh, people are good.
How do you look about this? Where these words come out from? Hey, I hope you just want to see picture or what? Hope you know you know that. Right. Know me. Right. Discuss two measures from which production managers could implement to bring about greater productivity. So they could train the workers. So they train the workers that can increase productivity. They could improve the technology used. Improving the technology used could increase productivity. They could get better raw materials. Better quality raw materials could increase productivity. Somebody asked if we could explain over surplus.
What do they mean about capital intensive production?
Capital-intensive is when you have more machinery than labor. Right? So when you're making cars, you'll be using a mechanical assembly line, right?
Okay.
No problem, Venetia. I appreciate the message. Right. Yeah, somebody asked me to explain surplus. Surplus is when you produce enough goods to trade locally and to export to other countries. Right. So somebody said motivation is the next method managers could use to implement to create greater productivity. That is true.
Recognizing their efforts
Yeah.
by like having employee of the month.
So when you're trying to increase productivity, you're looking at the factors of production. You're looking at the raw materials, the capital, and the labor especially. and you're trying to find ways to improve those. So in the raw materials, if you have better quality raw materials, that will improve productivity. The capital, if you have more advanced technology they're using, that will improve technology. Your workers, if they're more motivated or they're trained, that would improve technology, right? Or they have better working conditions, as somebody just said in the live chat. All those who on the live, I hope you're following, man. If not, I'll appreciate the follow. Still hoping somebody send me them 8 remaining gold stars. Just show that out there again. For this. Nah, boy, could barely read this. Look at me. So the questions will explain the term natural resources as a factor of production. Natural resources, so this will be the land, right? The factor land. Natural resources refer to not just land, but anything that comes from land, which includes water, oil, natural gas, coal, minerals, and forests. So like lumber and stuff, right? Mhm. Mm, mm, 4. Mm, 2. Then they ask, state 2 factors of production other than human resources and give 1 example of each. We did this question before, eh? Well, we did this part of the question. Remember, they asked for a factor of production other than, I think it was capital they asked for. There was a factor of production other than capital. The 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. And they give an example. So land would be natural, like natural gas, oil, the land itself, zinc, aluminum, rubber, capital, money, machinery, and entrepreneurship, enterprise. Yeah, entrepreneurship, enterprise, all of that is the same thing, right? That is the ability to combine all the other factors of production. Thank you, Venetia. And the next question. State 2 reasons why employers fail to train and develop their human resources. So sometimes they do have the money. They do have the money available or the resources available to train them. Sometimes they don't have anyone that could train them. That's just reality. Sometimes they don't have the time for training. So sometimes training and development of workers may be too expensive or costly for employers to handle. There may not be anyone available to conduct the training and development for sessions needed for workers. Then they define the term labor force. Labor force refers to all individuals in a particular country that are able to work. 11:30, right? Outline 2 effects of migration in your country. Increase in population, increase in demand for goods and services, more competition for existing jobs. If you're migrating out the country, you could have brain drain. If people are migrating in, we could have more skilled workers. Suggest 2 possible reasons for migration. They leaving for better job opportunities, for better educational opportunities, for a better quality of life, or to track some girl. Don't put that last one as an answer, please. All right, marketing now. So you're looking at marketing concepts, marketing activities, marketing mix, consumer behavior, packaging, promotion, selling techniques, terms of sale, consumer organization, customer service, intellectual property. Somebody asked me to skip marketing. They say easy. I'll just run through it quick still, no? I'll do marketing and I'll do logistics and supply chain. And I feel that might be it, you know. I would suggest all this still go through the government and stuff, because it's always come. It will come, right? I was trying to do all, but I'm failing and I have my own work to do. And I have more my own work to do. That's all right. All right. If logistics don't come tomorrow, I'm gonna be so upset, huh? Miss Mac produces a confectionery locally known as Fudge and sells it door to door. She uses the brand name Exotic Fudge. To actually define the term branding. All right, what's branding? Let's go through the answers. So branding is using identifying symbol, mark, or logo or name that distinguishes your product from others. Or you could say it gives identity to your product. All right. Benefits of branding: it could create customer loyalty. It could allow your good to stand out and be recognized. It could bring consistency in advertising. So all your ads is seeing that brand or logo on it. Then they ask you to explain the 4 P's of marketing that must be considered by all entrepreneurs. The 4 P's are price, promotion, place, and product. Price, promotion, place, product. Price, promotion, place, and product. Price, the cost of the product or service that the customer is paying. Product, the good or service that is offered to customers. Place refers to the where the product would be sold and how the product will be made available on the market. Promotion refers to advertising and other means to make potential customers aware of the product or service. Then it says suggest 2 benefits that Miss Mac is likely to enjoy from selling her fudge from door to door, right? So if she could network, she'll be able to create a relationship with her customers. She'll be able to demonstrate the use or show the product in person. She'll be able to use her persuasive skills more. Outline 2 methods of distribution other than door to door. She could use e-commerce. She could use franchisers. She could sell retail. She could sell wholesale. And then this next question, he asks about branding again. I know they really like branding for some reason. Right? So we know it's identifying symbol, mark, or logo, or name that distinguishes a product from others. Or if you want to put that gives it identity, that works as well. People now joining the Zoom, right? 11:34. State 2 ways in which branding influences the packaging of a product. The brand has a color scheme. The package will match the color scheme. The brand is really never is too late for you. The brand itself will be placed on the package. So the better the what is 2 ways. Right, the better the reputation, the brand, the higher the quality of the packaging. Very, very true. And the brand is also positioned on the package and well, the color scheme thing as well, right? Is the Zoom being recorded? Yes, it is. Identify 4 factors that influence consumer behavior: price, the income, the personal taste, the bandwagon effect, That's why 3/4 only has spray ground bag of his call it. Because of the bandwagon effect. Ready with the answer? I'll leave the answer by accident. Well, I'll give it to you this now anyway. Outline 2 ways in which producers can prevent their production from being reproduced by unauthorized persons. These are the 3 ways right here. Copyright, trademark, patents. How can you access the recording after? I don't know if I would make it accessible, but I'll see. I might send it in the WhatsApp group for those who paid for the marathon. So copyright is used for what? What do you use copyright for? Anybody? You're on Zoom, you're hearing me, right?
So that nobody else does
Music.
steal nobody does steal your work or stuff like that.
Right. So it's to protect you against, it's to protect your intellectual property. Trademarks are for so copyright protects intellectual property like your artwork, songs, music, stuff like that. Books. Trademarks is to protect your name and your logo. And patents is for new inventions. Try and remember to distinguish those 3, please. Copyright. Think of this. Copyright is for stuff you write. So your books, your songs, and so forth, right? Trademark is for the mark of your logo. So your logo and your name. And patents is the last one. Right? So the inventions. Somebody see they losing their mind? It's probably my voice. Sorry about that. I wish I could. There's a problem I have. People doesn't be able to concentrate. It's like, wait, it's so voiceful. Sorry. What is this next one? All right. To succeed in business, firms, I'm gonna go here. To succeed in business, firms must be conscious of their pricing and selling techniques. State 4 characteristics of a good salesperson. You see, here's the honest truth, right? When they say characteristics of a good leader, characteristics of an entrepreneur, characteristics of a good salesperson, you could almost recycle some of these same things and get trained. Confident. Confident could be a good salesperson, a good entrepreneur, a good leader. Resilient. Same thing. Resourceful. Same thing. Good communication skills. Same thing. Creative. Same thing. You could use that for just think of some good qualities and it could work for you, right? I put some of these specific to us salesperson, but it's just a good strategy to know. So I have passionate, confident, goal-oriented, resourceful, knowledgeable about the product, adaptable. Right? Yeah, good with people, so good people skills, yeah. Then they say explain the following pricing techniques used by firms to increase sales. And they ask about cost plus pricing. Right? So cost plus pricing is where you calculate the cost of the item and you add a fixed percentage to it to get the selling price. So I want to make 20% profit. I take the cost, I add 20% to the cost, and that's my selling price. Penetration pricing. This is when you set your price, you set the price real low to try to penetrate or enter a market. So I was always using the example, Digicel. When Digicel came to Trinidad, they gave away phones, literally, to try to enter the market. So a lot of people get free phones from Digicel. And then once they enter the market, This are the charge. You had to buy phone cards, you had to go Digicel. You had to buy a new SIM card, you had to go Digicel. It's time to upgrade your phone, you have a Digicel SIM, so you're gonna buy a phone from Digicel. And that is how they were able to enter the market. Very smart. Similar to loss leader candy, but not exactly like loss leader. Loss leader is when you sell a product or products cheaply or at a loss to attract customers. So supermarkets use that the most. So like your extra foods are plenty for 20. Sorry. So they sell certain things cheaply. So you'll go and buy those cheap things, but then you'll buy the other stuff they're selling as well that they're making profits on. That's what loss leader is. Then they say define each of the following terms of sale. Cash discount. A cash discount is given to encourage prompt payment. To somebody owing money, you give them a cash discount. You tell them if they pay within a certain date, they get a discount. Trade discounts are given for bulk purchases. Say buying a large amount, they get they pay less. Hire purchase, this is where you purchase an item with monthly installments plus interest. Pro tip for life. Only purchase stuff on hire purchase if you have no choice, right? You'll pay more than double the cash price. So if you have no choice, use hire purchase. If you could buy cash, buy cash. Justify the use of each of the following methods as a means of increasing the sales of insurance products. Personal selling. So insurance is a personal service, and personal selling will allow you to have a personal approach, which is really needed when you're selling insurance products, right? You have to justify using advertising. That's such a dumb question. Yeah, I don't know why that checking in on to. So this is a great way to ensure that to make a large amount of people aware of the insurance products that are being sold, right? So advertising could also provide information about the products and services to people, right? The real marketing questions. Oh, this consumer behavior. Let's go to consumer. List 3 factors that contribute to consumer behavior. That is the price of goods, income, price of substitute goods, price of complementary goods. Econ people would love this. Brand loyalty, the bandwagon effect, quality of goods and services, customer service. You should not get this wrong. You all are consumers. Just think about what would influence you all. Thanks, GA News, 3 rows, I appreciate it. Tradition, yes, that is one. Just think about stuff that would influence you all, whether yes, right? And we're not wearing full coats in the Caribbean. Yep, the bandwagon effect, peer pressure, location, yep. State organizations, that's your country, in your country, where consumers can seek redress for unfair treatment. Thanks for the gift prayer.
The courts,
What is that?
like the courts.
Yeah, but more specifically, we have the
Like-
Consumer Affairs Division, and we have something called the Ombudsman.
The ombudsman, yeah, it's just consider.
Then it's the outline 2 possible distribution channels that can be used to deliver big products to final consumers. We have retailers, wholesalers, and e-commerce. Yes, travels, that is kind of what an ombudsman is. So when you have an issue with a government body that you're getting unfair treatment, they go to the ombudsman and they will handle the scene for you. Consumer affairs, if you're getting unfair treatment, your rights are being infringed by a business, they go by the Consumer Affairs Division and report it, and they handle the scene for you. All right. Thanks to the follows. Guys, if you're not following yet, I'll appreciate the follow. Do you have to pay the ombudsman? I don't believe you do. I don't think you have to pay the ombudsman. Question select, I will double check that though. But I don't think you have to pay the ombudsman. Thanks to the followers, you all, I really appreciate it. Select an appropriate method of transport to each of the following products. They'll have to give this question, but the answer: fresh flowers to refrigerated truck, keep the fresh flowers cool, cement, a mixer truck to ensure that it doesn't solidify, daily news, a car or van, money, armored vehicle, right? Logistics and supply chain, thing what they was asking for all the time. So the time I made this thing, it just had 2 questions. But we did some other questions in logistics and supply chain. So you'll take a look at those after, right? So the question was: explain 2 ways logistics can improve the competitiveness of a business. To answer, by adding value, by offering services such as fast delivery time, which could help the firm to stand out more among its competitors. Increased efficiency from partnering with suppliers and other businesses can help reduce costs, which can lead to another edge over competitors. So logistics and supply chain is basically looking at all the factors surrounding getting the goods to customers. So from collecting the raw materials, creating the goods and services, storing the goods, doing quality checks, ensuring that the goods are kept safely, and transporting the goods from the point of origin, which may be the warehouse, to the destination, which may be the customers. All of that surrounds logistics and supply chain. All right? Logistics focuses on transporting the goods from point of origin and point of destination. So logistics is part of supply chain. All right, so they want to know 2 ways in which logistics can improve competitiveness of the business, right? So if you offer delivery and your services are better than your competitors, that could give you a competitive edge. If you offer different types of delivery services, so you have delivery services for fragile goods, you have delivery services where you deliver goods in less than 24 hours, stuff like that, that could give you an edge, right? Then they ask, define the following terms: logistics, the management of flow of business activities of transporting goods and services from point of origin to point of destination. All right, so logistics is part of supply chain. Supply chain includes all the systems, structures, and processes to plan and execute the flow of goods and services from supplier to customer. Everything that surrounds it, right? State 2 differences between a bill of lading and an airway bill. A bill of lading acts as a document of title. An airway bill does not. A bill of lading is used when you transport goods by sea. I think you could guess when you use an airway bill. When you transport goods by air, just in case there's somebody who couldn't guess it for some reason. Then they say outline 3 rules of transportation in marketing of goods. All right? So it allows goods to be delivered to customers, may it be directly or by delivering to wholesalers or retailers. That could be somebody bought by pipeline. That could be a way to encourage customers to purchase from you, right? So I purchased stuff from China already. I would never have purchased it if they didn't have some way to deliver the goods to me. Right? So the fact that they have transportation encourages customers to buy, opens them up to a larger market. So you're I appreciate that. Can be the basis of marketing strategies by stating that customers can have goods delivered to them. Exactly what I just talking about. Thanks to Rose Malik. Can affect customer service based on how well it is done. So you perform your transportation duties efficiently, it could cause customers to purchase again. If you have efficient, somebody will Muli Kashway. No, let Muli gas me up, Muli gas, as much as you want gas me up. Right. Canifer customer service creates the possibility to reach customers in new places, creating demand. Then it's explain two problems an agricultural firm may face when distributing bananas from the Caribbean to the USA, ensuring that the bananas survive the trip without being damaged or spoiled. The overall cost of transportation overseas may be high. Oh, this is January 2022. I now saying I don't remember doing this question with you all. But it was January. Even the January papers are logistics. And I've seen it coming for sure. Just seeing come pretty often. All right. Let me just check some of the other papers we did. Well, papers. I'm gonna check this one. What papers on? Okay. I was trying to find the next logistic papers, but I feel like that would take up too much time. And it's 11:50. So I go through business finance and then realize that I might have a now then. Which report one? Or the one that had there? Yeah, I'll upload it. All right, so you see, identify 4 sources of personal income. Explain what is meant by budgeted. Now let's see what answers with this. All right, so let's go through the answers. So there's minus the 12 or they had a sleep. Identify 4 sources of personal income. So that is like a salary or wages, dividends from investment, rent from ownership of property, profit from owning a business, robbing people, look for the last one either. Money from friends and family, personal savings, things like that. Very good. Explain what is meant by the term budgeting. Budgeting is a detailed financial plan outlining how income is to be spent and saved. Spent and saved. State 2 advantages of budgeting. It could improve your financial decision making, and it could help. It can make it easier to meet objectives in the future. Help you save money as well. State 2 factors that must be considered when choosing a form of savings. The purpose of the saving. So if the accessibility of the money. So for example, if I'm saving for the long term, I want it to be difficult for me to access the money. There's less chance of me taking the money and spending it. If I'm saving for short term, I want more access of the money, right? The interest earned and the amount of safety. So am I quicker saving a bank because it's safer than saving the money under my mattress? Discuss 2 reasons why saving money in a bank as opposed to keeping it at home. Wow. So saving the money in the bank would earn interest, which could help. So inflation is when your value of your money decreases or the prices of goods and services increase. When you save your money in the bank earns the money earns interest. Okay. Yeah, it earns interest. And when it earns interest, it helps combat inflation. So before, $5 could have bought doubles. Now $6 could buy doubles, but your $5 in the bank earn that dollar inflation, so you can still buy doubles. You're not gonna earn inflation. You're not gonna earn interest, sorry, if the money is home under my bed. Saving on the bank is also insured by theft. So what if during inflation is happening and your money in the bank? So while your money is in the bank, it's earning interest. So even when inflation is happening, your money is earning interest. So that's how it combats inflation, right? With interest. Why them granny like to save home? Because they don't trust banks for some reason, right? The money in the bank is also insured from theft. So if somebody steal your money in the bank, you're still gonna get back your money because it's insured. Right? If somebody steal your money at home, hard luck. Right? Somebody asks what is inflation. Inflation is the loss of value of money, or you could put it as the increase in prices. However, it's even done a homework, right? Yeah, depends on the bank for real. Carry dollar. They say describe 3 types of credit methods that never, let me see, where did he start? Purchase would like to buy goods on credit from Sales Plus Limited, a popular hardware store in her community. Nevado's National Bank, Nevado, the local bank, has a variety of credit plans available to assist persons like Purchase to make purchases. Then it says, describe 3 types of credit methods that Nevado's National Bank can provide to enable Purchase to buy goods from Sales Plus Limited. So you can give them a loan, you can give them an overdraft facility. That is when they allow you to spend more money than you actually have in a bank account. So you'll end up owing the bank. They could give you a credit card. How much will I 3 types right there? The overdraft facility will allow Purchase to purchase goods even if its current balance is insufficient and repay the bank at a later date. Accountant should know what bank overdraft is. He can receive a credit card, which will give him access to a loan facility that he can be used to purchase the goods. And he can also just receive a loan that will allow him to purchase the goods and he'll repay for it over time. Somebody say we should have paid attention instead of getting put out of class. Real words. So can you do contracts? I do contracts already. State 3 conditions that Purchase must satisfy in order to obtain a loan from NNB. So you must have a qualifying income level. He must have been employed for a certain amount of time. He must have a good credit score. He can't have too much existing loans. And they say outline 3 methods of payment that Purchase can use to repay her loan at NNB Limited. She could use direct credit, not direct debit. It should be direct credit, as I'm error. So not direct debit, direct credit. Online transfers, standing orders. Explain 2 ways in which central bank could reduce the capacity of NNB to make loans to its customers. They could make it stricter, the qualification process stricter. They could reduce their maximum amount of loans that are allowed. They could limit the capacity. They asked identify one instruction. So they actually did this in Trinidad, by the way. So now to get a loan, you need more documents than before, right? And that will be all the commercial banks will have to follow those rules set by the central bank. Then it's identify one institution that could provide purchase to credit facilities similar to provided by commercial banks. There's money lending organizations like Island Finance. There are credit unions, stuff like that, right? Those who in Trinidad and Tobago and any other country where Island Finance exists. Unless you are about to die, do not take a loan from Island Finance, please. Just a tip for life, right? Unless you're about to die on that bed, and the only way for you to live is to take a loan from Island Finance, and even then, consider the options. You know how long you live. You think you live a fruitful life? Even then, consider the options, right? Right. Describe two ways in which the central bank controls the activities of commercial banks. Identify four, blah, 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 blah. Right. Describe two ways central banks control the activities of commercial banks. They create monetary policy. All right, so they would create the rules and regulations that commercial banks must abide to, right? They act as the bank for commercial banks. So the commercial banks will have their money with the central bank. If they need a loan, central bank. If it's that bad, yes, it's that bad. If Island Finance is that bad, it is, right? They are also the ones who print money, so they can control the overall supply of money. All right, if you know any good website for past papers, Chat's is still up and running, you know. They did a TikTok video showing exactly how to get the access the past papers. Go and check it. Chat's still running normal. I get all my past papers from them. Identify 4 services that commercial banks offer to their customers. They could deposit money. You could get debit cards, credit cards. You could invest. You could get loans. You have safety deposit boxes. You could do standing orders. All right. MXTTHIA, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It is working. A lot of people think it's not working because they're looking for where they used to be before. Go and check the TikTok video to show you exactly how to get it. Even the site shows you how to do it. I get all my papers from them. Oh, Mattia, my bad, Mattia. I see X and it show more of nobody. All right. Explain one way customers benefit from any two. Sorry. Yeah, I think so. Benefit from the services above. Security deposit box. You get to secure your items safely. Loan facility. You get to purchase stuff you would not have been able to purchase before. Credit card, same thing. Overdraft facility, same thing. Accepting deposits, safe way to get money. Investment of funds, a way to create wealth. Yeah, but I feel how to go after this one, boy. Outline 2 differences between short-term capital and long-term capital. Short-term capital may be accessed through the money market. Institutions in the money market include commercial banks, merchant banks, credit unions, and discounts. Long-term capital can be accessed through business societies, stock exchange, unit trust companies, and development banks. Short-term capital is also used for the day-to-day running of the business. Long-term capital can be used over and over again. So like when you purchase machinery and stuff like that. Identify 2 sources of short-term capital and 2 sources of long-term capital. Short-term capital, personal savings, unsecured loans and loans from family, SUSU, stuff like that. Long-term capital, shares, secured loans, debentures, insurance, unit trust. You all think I may have reached my limits? I'm tired. I was really trying to go through every topic, every section, I should say. But I'm tired. I was supposed to spend tonight finishing up my assignment.
Thanks for your session, sir. I'm going to bed.
No problem. Thanks for the gift, Luke Molina. You all, I really wish you all the best tomorrow. See what it is? 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. I'm going through this one question. This is one. Thanks to the Roses prayer. Explain the difference between direct taxes and indirect taxes, given one example of each, right? So direct tax is taxes that you pay directly because it goes directly from you to the government. Indirect tax passes through a third party. As the main difference, right? So all this whole paragraph, that's what it's saying. The examples of direct tax would be income tax, capital gains tax, corporate tax, stuff like that, right? Indirect tax would be like VAT, yes. So sales tax, excise duty, VAT, customs duty, stuff like that, right? And they ask to state two purposes of tax. So tax is used as a way government spending. It's also used as a way to redistribute income. So the wealthy and the not so wealthy and stuff, the government will take money from everyone and then it will spend it on stuff that everybody can enjoy. So it's a way to redistribute income, right? They can also use tax to curb inflation. They could use tax as well to encourage spending in some areas and to try to block spending in others. So let's say they wanted to spend locally, they could put tax on imports to stop you from importing goods. Then they ask, state the difference between regressive and progressive tax. So regressive tax, tax decreases as the taxable amount increases. So people who make more money pay a lower percentage in tax. Progressive taxation is the opposite. Right? So the more money you pay, the more money you make, the more tax you pay. And it asks, outline one main reason in favor of progressive tax. Progressive tax is meant to reduce the burden of tax on the lower income earners, right? So those who earn more money can handle paying taxes better than those who earn less money. Discuss two reasons why the government may impose tax on alcohol and tobacco. Alcohol and tobacco are demerit goods. So they would want to reduce the amount of spending on those demerit goods, right? Because they provide a negative influence to the society. On the other hand, people purchase a lot of alcohol and tobacco. So it could be a way for the government to earn income. What do demerit goods do again? Demerit goods are goods that have a negative impact on society, and merit goods have a positive impact. Distinguish between standard living and quality living. Standard living measure of the level of well-being provided to the residents of a country. It takes into account only material factors such as wealth, material goods, and necessities available. Quality of life is subjective and measures the general well-being and happiness of individuals and societies. So standard of living is a measure of the level of welfare, right? So you could use standard of living to measure something. Quality of life is subjective. It's basically how much you're enjoying life, how much you enjoy living there. Explain what is meant by an increase in real GDP by 2%. An increase in GDP is an indication that the economy is doing well. An increase, a 2% increase means that the monetary value of all finished goods and services made within the period has increased by 2%, which when compared to the monetary value of the previous period. What is the difference between GDP and GNP? Anybody online on the Zoom? Anybody can remember? The total value of goods produced where? Or by whom?
Sir, in the country, whether the factors of production is locally owned or foreign owned, I think I'm not sure.
All right, so GDP is the total value of the finished goods and services produced within a nation's borders, right? The total value of the goods and services produced within a nation's borders. And GNP is the total value of goods produced by a country's citizens. It doesn't matter where they are. It could be domestic or international. So GDP, the total value of goods and services produced within a nation's borders. GNP, the total value of goods produced by citizens, either locally or internationally. You'll understand the difference, right? Everybody understand the difference? I hope the silence means yes. And while those on the live saying yes. And then the difference between quality of life and standard of living. So standard of living is just a level of wealth and comfort. And it can be measured. Quality of life is just a subjective term that measures your happiness. Your GDP could be used to measure your standard of living. Your quality of life is just a subjective term that looks at how happy you are. One more time for GDP and GNP. GDP is the total value of the goods and services produced within a country's borders. GNP is the total value of goods and services produced by citizens, either locally or internationally. All right, yo. Have a good day. I really hope this was helpful. Try to give a lecture.